Hello Pisces, my name is Keith Hasbroll. I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business and over 30,000 clients worldwide and tens of thousands of students worldwide as well through YouTube and my websites. So it's nice to have this opportunity to be able to do your horoscope for you for May and June 2014. Now I've already done the major cycles for you of the slower moving bodies, Uranus, Saturn and Jupiter, through the houses of your horoscope for the whole of 2014, and that's available through YouTube. With this one I'm going to do the faster moving bodies, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars. And as they move through the houses of your horoscope, they activate certain events and conditions in your life. So you just relax now, Pisces, and we'll have some fun together, eh? First of all, I want to tell you a little bit about yourself. You're a very psychic person, Pisces, very sensitive, easily affected by the moods of those around you. You get a lot of strange feelings that go through you that you find hard to understand and comprehend. You're strongly attracted towards the mystical and spiritual side of life, in whichever way that manifests in your life. You seem to have a tendency to get down in the dumps and get down hard on yourself. You have a problem with your self-image, and many times that can manifest as self-destructive habit patterns and patterns of behaviour that perhaps involve drugs and alcohol and things like that. So you can be your own worst enemy, Pisces, at times, not only in your thinking processes but in the things that you engage in. Now, you seem to have a lot of stress and tension in your life to do with money, Pisces, and you are very emotional, and there's a tendency for you to be very active in wanting to get money and so forth, but it just goes through your hands so quickly that you don't have a chance to save very much. You don't have a chance to express your wisdom that's there to do with money matters. So there's a fair bit of stress and tension for you to do with money, especially early in life, until you learn how to hang on to it and control it and direct it. Now, you seem to love walking around among the plants and shrubs and the beauties of nature. You've really got an eye for beauty. Beauty in the opposite sex, beauty in things like works of art and the beauty of nature, flowers, trees and so forth. You can get a little bit fixed in your ideas at times, and sometimes it's difficult for you to get yourself out of those habit patterns. You have many changes of residence in life, Pisces. Could even have two places to live in at the one time. There might have been twins in your family, and you might have had a dual situation as far as parents were concerned. So you had two lots of parents, two fathers or two mothers or something like that perhaps. There's a lot of unsettling conditions for you, Pisces, around the home. So many changing and fluctuating circumstances. You can have different people coming and living with you and different sort of environment there in the home for you from time to time. Now, you seem to enjoy social activities around the home, perhaps more so than going out to restaurants and places of amusement. You love children. You love to have children around the home and to entertain the children around the home. You seem to be in a position of leadership in the job, and you gravitate towards positions of authority, and quite often there's a lot of social activities connected with people that you work with, and you like to be the centre of attention in conversation in the job as well. Now, your spouse, your partner, spouse, can be someone who is of a different nationality, perhaps, or of a different social scale than yourself perhaps. Very meticulous and very clean person. Now before I go on to your cycles for you Pisces, I just want to help you to understand a little bit about the nature of reality and our place in that reality, to help you to understand what we're dealing with here in this space-time rule set. We are living in a set that is an illusory set to a large extent. It's holographic in nature, but I won't go into details about that. I cover all of that sort of thing in my intensives. But it's a space-time rule set which is basically a spiritual classroom. It's a giant spiritual classroom. And we have a physical vehicle, sure, but that physical body is not something that houses our soul. The physical body is there within the aura of the soul. So the soul manifests the physical body. And we are not our physical body. Our physical body is simply a means for expressing ourselves here in this particular space-time rule set. We are our consciousness. The soul confers consciousness upon us, and that consciousness is emotional and also mental. Of course, it's spiritual as we get older and as we become more leaning towards the spiritual side of life, it becomes spiritual. But for the purposes of this exercise here today, we're just saying that it's emotional and mental is where we are polarized in consciousness, Pisces. Now, the physical body is a receptacle of energy. Energies that are coming to us from the planets, from the sun, and from the earth itself. And we have an etheric body, which is an energy body or a body of light. A body of light and a body of electricity, what you might say. And this is as far as the scientific world can delve into things. They can only say that there's physical stuff, liquid stuff, gaseous stuff, and the lowest levels of ether, which is light and electricity. And their instruments can't measure anything that's more subtle than that. And so therefore they say that that higher level of the etheric doesn't exist, and the emotional doesn't exist, and the mental energies don't exist. And so what we're dealing with is we're dealing with a physical body which is encased within our etheric body. So the real physical body is our etheric body, and that etheric body has 7 centers in it, 7 major centers in it. There's one at the base of the spine for physical activity, one at the sacral area for sexual expression, one at the solar plexus center, which is for emotional expression, one at the heart center for loving, one at the throat center for communication, one at the center between the eyes for our intuition, and one at the top of the head for our spiritual will. So we have these etheric centers there in our body, and they are receiving energies that are coming to us from the planets and from the sun and the earth, and this is what gives us our consciousness, Pisces. Now you can relate to this. You can relate to this in this day and age because you've got the remote control and you can press the buzzer and it opens the boot of the car. Press it, it opens the door of the car. Press it, it opens the garage door. You've got mobile phones, you can talk to people on the other side of the world. In this day and age, we're able to relate to hidden energies and forces, electrical energies and forces that we can't see and perceive with our physical instruments. So it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination for you, Pisces, to imagine that we've got these centers of energy there in our body, and these energies are coming to us from the planets and from the sun and from the earth itself, and they are going through our centers and we are utilizing these energies, and that's what gives us our consciousness, is these energies that are going through us, Pisces. Now all of us are focused in our emotional body and our mental body, and we all have raw materials. We all have the same raw materials. Our attitudes, our beliefs, our thoughts and our feelings are our raw materials. And they sponsor decisions and choices depending on the nature of the raw materials. And then we have 3 tools with which we mould and shape these raw materials into our events and conditions in our life. And those 3 tools are our desire, imagination and expectancy. What do we expect to happen? What do we imagine is going to happen? And what do we desire is going to happen? So this is what's happening, and this is the way that we're creating all of our events and conditions in our life. Every single event in our life is the result of a thought form. A thought, an attitude, a belief, a thought or a feeling there within our aura. So we are creating these thought forms all the time. We have 50,000 thoughts a day, Pisces. And all of these thoughts are there hovering in our aura. And many of these thoughts are very repetitive. They're very repetitive, and we have thoughts like, I'll never amount to anything, life is a financial struggle for me, I'm unlovable, relationships never work out for me. Well, if you've got predominant thought forms there in your aura that are of this nature, and the planets are moving through the houses of your horoscope and activating these thoughts into events and conditions in your life, what do you expect are going to be the events and conditions that you're experiencing in life, Pisces? So this is what the name of the game is. The name of the game is we are all in life and coming in and out of life time after time after time under the law of reincarnation. And we have the law of attraction. We attract towards ourselves that which is in the likeness of our being. And the law of cause and effect. What we give out comes back to us in like kind. So these are the 3 laws that God and Goddess have got us set up there for us. And God and Goddess have given us 2 beautiful gifts. They've given us the gift of eternal life. We can never ever die. What a wonderful gift to have, Pisces. Think about that. And we just go on forever expanding our consciousness. The name of the game is consciousness expansion. And we go on expanding our consciousness until we can go beyond the human level altogether. And the other gift that they've given us is the gift to consciously create all of the events and conditions of our life. If we don't do it consciously, if we refuse to take that responsibility, then we do it subconsciously through our predominant patterns of thought and feeling and our attitudes and our beliefs. So here we are all in the earth. 95% of us are creating our reality subconsciously, not realizing the workings of how it all works and functions. And we've all got these thought forms that are of a negative nature, full of blame and tension and conflict and shame and fear and guilt and anxiety and doubt and all sorts of beliefs that are there in the subconscious mind. And we wonder what's going on and why all this is happening to us. And science says, well, it's all just random chance. It's all just a matter of luck. Accept what comes your way and make the most out of it, sort of thing. But that's not the way that it works, Pisces. The way that it works is all according to law. And so here we are, we're creating all of these thought forms, and they hover in our aura. And as the planets move through the houses of the horoscope, they activate these thoughts. These thoughts are connected with one of the 12 houses of the horoscope. And just very quickly, the houses are first house, personal interest; second house, where we fulfill our security needs; third house, we fulfill our communication needs; fourth house is where we fulfill our needs to belong to a family unit; fifth house is where we fulfill our needs to have fun and to express our love; sixth house is where we fulfill our service needs; seventh house is where we fulfill our needs to have somebody that we can be intimate with and who can get to know us and who we can get to know; 8th house is where we fulfill our needs for change and transformation. 9th house is where we fulfill our needs for expansion through adult education, philosophies and world travel. And the 10th house is where we fulfill our needs for esteem, our esteeming needs, where we do through business and high achievements in the career. The 11th house is where we fulfill our needs to belong to a group and to experience group consciousness through club activities and group activities and friends. And the 12th house is where we have our needs for solitude, where we get it all together as to what we've learned in the other 11 houses. So I know it's very complex, Pisces, but here we are. We've got all of these thought forms that are living in our aura, being set off and triggered off by these planets as they're moving through the houses of the horoscope, and the vibrational frequency of those thought forms is dependent on which house it sits in, depending on the type of thought form that it is, and the type of belief or the type of attitude or the type of desire and expectancy and so forth. What do we expect? And here we are, we've got all of the events of our life are a reflection of those attitudes and beliefs. So if you've got a lot of problems in your life, if you've got a lot of stresses and tensions with personal interests, finances, problems with communication, difficulties with the home environment, problems with children and romance and love, problems with your health and problems with the job, difficulties in partnerships and marriage and so forth, and all so forth through the other houses. If you're having problems there, well, you've got to look in the mirror and say, well, I think I've got to make some changes to the way that I'm thinking. I've got to make some changes to my raw materials. My attitudes and beliefs, my thoughts and feelings are not clean. And so therefore, you are given the power to be able to change those attitudes and beliefs. And therefore you change the raw materials, and therefore you change the events and conditions of your life. And that's what my intensives are all about, is helping you to, through the science of meditation and through understanding about the way that astrology works and understanding the way that all the whole thing works, astrology, meditation and reincarnation, how it all works. And then you can have better circumstances and conditions in your life. So I know it's quite a lot to absorb, especially if you're not familiar with all of these things, but that's nevertheless the way that it all functions and the way that it works, Pisces. Now let's look at what you've got happening now in the events and conditions of your life from the movements of these planets, and see what sort of events that you can expect in the months of May and June. Now, first of all, I want to tell you, Pisces, about the movements of Jupiter and Saturn. They are resident in a house of your horoscope for the whole of the year of 2014, and I've done that particular video for you for the whole of the year, and that's available through YouTube. But I'll just reiterate it very quickly here. You've got Jupiter in the 5th house of your horoscope during the whole of 2014, Pisces. And with Jupiter in the 5th house, it's a lovely time for you for children. It can see travel with children. It can see travel overseas for a holiday and things like that. It can see a lot of happiness in the love and romantic side of your life if you're in the market for a relationship. And a lot of happiness on the social side of your life with all those that you love and express your love to. So it's a very good time for gambling and things like that, but don't go out and put your house on the next race. Now you've got Saturn in the 9th house, Pisces, through the whole of the year, so that's going to bring in the death or illness of a relative who lives distantly from you or an in-law. And it's going to bring about frustrations with regard to plans for travel. So you might be wanting to travel overseas and there'll be delays to the plans, and there'll be obstructions to your plans, and plane will take off late and buses arrive late, and all sorts of things happen. So we've got to watch out when you're travelling with that sort of influence around. There's going to be some frustrations for you to do with legal matters, perhaps problems with in-laws, and there'll be difficulties for you with regard to adult education. So you'll be wanting to get into adult education, and there'll be all sorts of things will block your path. So even trying to get into my intensives, you might find that there's a few obstacles there trying to hold you back from expanding your consciousness and expanding and becoming more of who you really are. So that's just a little bit about the Jupiter and Saturn there. Okay, now what I'm going to do now with the faster moving bodies, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars, Pisces, is I'm going to lay it all out on a timeline for you, okay? So on this timeline, I'm going to tell you at the 1st of May where these 4 bodies are, and then they continue to have that sort of influence that I portray until such time as they're changed by a movement or a change of that particular body on that timeline, okay? The first one of these is the 1st of May, right? Now you've got the Sun in the 3rd house of your horoscope, and you also got Mercury in the 3rd house of your horoscope. So this indicates a lot more social activities with relatives and neighbours, and also a lot more communication with relatives and neighbours. There can be important contracts or agreements entered into to begin with. And there's a sense of a lot more communication with neighbours and relatives and those that are close to you in your immediate environment, Pisces. Venus is in the 1st house of your horoscope, so you're going to feel quite loving to begin the month with. With Venus in the 1st house, you'll feel very outgoing in your affections and very loving in your nature. There's a love of music and there's a love of the social side of your life, and it's a good time for you to anticipate getting out and about and circulating with friends and having a good time and forming romance and love and things like that in your life. Mars is in the 8th house of your horoscope, bringing a lot of stress and tension to do with sexual matters, a heightening of your sex drive. But it is in a retrograde motion, and so that's going to see a lot of stress and tension to do with joint finances that you share with other people. And there's going to be a lot of stress and tension inside of yourself with aspects of your nature that you know that you need to outgrow, Pisces, but you're throwing back into the past with Mars being in an apparent backward motion, which we call retrograde. That means that your mind and the energies of that planet are all going in the backward direction. So it means that you're having a lot of tension inside of yourself to do with sexual matters. You're reflecting upon errors from the past and changes that you haven't brought about within yourself from the past, you know? And so your mind is reflecting upon all of those errors that you've made inside of yourself and the changes that you haven't brought about. Now then, the first change, Pisces, is on the 4th of May. The 4th of May, Venus moves into the 2nd house of finances and begins a period where it's going to be good for you financially, good stars with regard to money coming in. It's also going to see a desire to go out and spend. Especially if you're a woman, you'll go out and spend on a nice new outfit or something like that. It's very good for you to do with speculative matters and matters relating to investments and things like that. Now the next one we come to is on the 8th of May, Mercury moves into the 4th house of your horoscope. Now with Mercury in the 4th house of your horoscope from the 8th of May onwards, Pisces, what that means is that there's a lot more communication with those that you habitate within the home, cohabitate within the home. So there's a lot more communication, there's a lot more relatives and neighbours perhaps spending time with you in the home, and there's going to be potential for not only a lot of dialogue with family members, but there's potential for entering into a contract or agreement on property or something like that. On the 21st of May, Mars starts going direct. They're still in the 8th house of your horoscope, heightening your sex drive. but it starts going direct. And so therefore your energies towards change and transformation within yourself will start moving more towards the future. So you'll start dwelling less in the past and hitting yourself over the head for the errors that you've made in the past and so forth. You'll be starting to think about where you're going instead of where you've been. Now on the 22nd of May, Pisces, you've got the Sun moves into the 4th house of your horoscope and remains there for 30 days. Now with the Sun in the 4th house of your horoscope, there's bound to be a lot more social activities revolving around parents, if they play a prominent part in your life. A lot more social activities around the home and to do with the family and the domestic side of life. And you'll enjoy being the centre of attention in these social functions around the home while the Sun is in the 4th house of your horoscope. On the 30th of May, Pisces, Mercury moves into the 5th house of your horoscope and Venus moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope. Now with Mercury in the 5th house of your horoscope, there's a lot more communication with children, a lot more involvement on a day-by-day basis with their day-to-day needs and interests, should they be in your life. And Mercury in the 5th house will bring a lot more social involvements with relatives and neighbours and also with people that you work with. Venus is in the 3rd house of your horoscope from the 30th of May onwards, and with Venus in the 3rd house, it's a great deal more love of music. It's a lot of social involvements, Pisces, with relatives and neighbours, and there's potential for romance to spring from within that circle, that close circle, should you be in the market for a romance. So you could go out with a relative and meet someone nice or something like that, for example. That's the sort of influence that Venus can bring. Now on the 8th of June, Mercury starts going retrograde. It's still in the 5th house of your horoscope, Pisces, but it starts going retrograde. Now what happens when Mercury is retrograde and in an apparent backward motion is that it tends to bring problems with regard to communication. Now all the communication while Mercury is in the 5th house is to do with the social side of life, romantic matters, and dealings with children. And so there's going to be problems and difficulties expressing yourself and putting your point across to do with these areas. Romance, dates will be put off and delayed, problems and things with the children, difficulties, miscommunications and so forth on the social side of life. So there's all sorts of strange things that can happen there when Mercury is retrograde in the 5th house. And then on the 18th of June, Pisces, Mercury moves back into the 4th house of your horoscope because it's in a retrograde motion. It's going backwards and it moves back into the 4th house of your horoscope. Now, that's going to bring a lot of miscommunications to do with property matters and family matters, and all sorts of communications in the home and with those who cohabitate with you in the home are not going smoothly when Mercury is retrograde there in the 4th house. On the 23rd of June, Pisces, the Sun moves into the 5th house of your horoscope for 30 days. And when the Sun is in the 5th house of your horoscope, there's a lot more happiness there through the children, should they be in your life, and more happiness for you on the social side of your life and to do with romance and love. So there's a tremendous amount of sunshine there upon your social life during that period for 30 days. And the last one that we come to, Pisces, is the 24th of June, when Venus moves into the 4th house of your horoscope. Now, when Venus is in the 4th house of your horoscope, it brings a lot more love of parents. It brings a great deal more social activities around the home and a great deal more peace and harmony around the home. And it brings a lot of interest in music around the home and expression of love to those in the family environment. And that's as far as I go for you, Pisces. Now, where do you go from here, okay? I've told you now a little bit about the nature of reality and how it all functions and that sort of thing. But there's just so much there to learn. And I've written a book called What Really Matters. And that's a book on astrology, meditation and reincarnation in simple terms that you'll be able to understand. And so what I suggest is that you, even though you might have seen the video on the 2014 with my cycles that I've done for you on YouTube, even though you might have seen that, I suggest that you submit your birth details through the Your Horoscope page of my website, and then that allows me then to be able to send you some goodies and to help you, Pisces, to become more of the giant that you truly are. You are a very spiritual person and you have a great deal of love to give. You're an embodiment of the second ray of love, wisdom. And what that allows me to do is to send you the horoscope chart so that you know where your ascendant is or your rising sign. It allows me to also send you all of the links for every one of my over 100 videos. I'll be doing another 80 videos or so in the balance of 2014, so it's a good idea to subscribe to my videos. And I'll be sending you, once you're in my address book, I can send you all the new videos as they come out. And I also send you the 12 CDs, which is the audio version of my book What Really Matters on astrology, meditation and reincarnation. So you can play those, download those CDs, and you can play them on your iPod, and you can have a lot of fun growing and reaching and stretching and becoming more of who you really are. All of that is free of charge. If you want your horoscope done in more depth, I'm happy to do that for you. For only $10, you can have a horoscope number 2, which is a 20-page printout on your horoscope alone, not just your sun sign, or not just your rising sign. That's all about you, the location of all of your planets in the houses of the horoscope, the aspects and relationships that those planets form, and that determines what sort of person you are and what sort of experiences that you're going to have in this lifetime. That's 20 pages. They're all about you and you alone. There won't be another person born with the same horoscope as you, Pisces, for another 25,000 years. So you're quite an individual. And if you want horoscope number 3 done, which is an audio version with using my voice, then I'll look at the last 5 years and the future 5 years for you with your cycles and tell you a number of things that have happened in the past. I'll even tell you where you got scars on your body. And you can have that one done as well. But get stuck into the free stuff first and see if you like what I've got to say to you through the free CDs and through the videos and everything like that. Have a good time with all of that, and then we can rock and roll together along the line as I process and develop and produce more videos to help you with your personal growth and your spiritual growth. So I thank you for your attentiveness here, Pisces, and go to my website www.mysteryofsirius.com and submit your birth details through the Your Horoscope page, and we can have some fun together, and I can help you to become more of that giant that's hidden there inside of yourself waiting to get out. Thank you.